Hey there, welcome back friends. In this video we will talk about Spring MVC. So let's get started. We will take a very basic simple approach and we will start with a very simple Spring MVC application with minimal setup so that it would be super simple for you guys. So first of all, we would be creating a new dynamic web project. Let me quickly add a new dynamic web project. This is not a Maven project to start with. We will convert the dynamic web project as a Maven project later. So using this dynamic web project module, we will get a proper and specific required folder structure for our application. So in here, we will give the name as Spring MVC Minimal Setup. Alright, everything else is good enough. Let me click on finish. Alright, so now we have this project where we have the minimal setup. Alright, this looks good. If I show you, there are like couple of folders including web.inf and there is no web.xml file. Now web.xml file is among the easiest way of configuring the application to start with. So we will go with the web.xml file approach. I will right click, navigate to Java EE tools, and here we have this option of generate deployment descriptor stub. Let me use this and let me now refresh the project once. Here we go, and now we have the web.xml file with us. Alright, so as of now there is no configuration in here. We will add some configuration later down the line, but as of now let us add the dependency. Now what is the best way to add dependency? Definitely Maven. So in here again we have this option of configure, and here you will get this option to convert to Maven project. So let us convert this to a Maven project. It will give me couple of errors like group ID and artifact ID because we cannot add spaces in group ID and artifact ID. So let me quickly get rid of all the spaces in here. And in here we will give the artifact ID as a Spring MVC Minimal Setup, but let us update the group ID as org.steadyz. That is better. Packaging, it would be war file. Alright, so this looks good. Let me click on finish. Now definitely Eclipse will add the pom.xml file which is here in front of us. Let me expand this. Let me click on dependencies, and in here let us quickly add couple of dependencies. So in here I will simply search for Spring. Now here is the thing, many a time you won't get these search results from internet inside Eclipse. It happens sometime. So even if there is any kind of error, you can simply Google for these dependencies and you will get those. I will also show you how to get the dependencies directly from internet. So let us add couple of dependencies directly, and we will add couple of the dependencies from web itself. So let me show you. So let us add the context dependency. Then we will again add core dependency, which is again very important. Let us add beans as well, and then we will add JSTL. I will make use of the first version. Now in here there would be like different groups, different artifacts. So try to traverse these trees and choose the latest version. So we will use the latest version of JSTL. Then there is Servlet API. So again check the latest version being 4.0.1. so we will use the first artifact ID, and then let us also add JSP API. This looks good. Let me save the changes. Alright, so this is good. And now in here we haven't added web and web MVC dependency. So let me quickly add those. So in here let us quickly Google, and we will Google for Spring Web Maven. Alright, let me click on the first search result, and in here it's Spring Web, and we also have this link of org.spring framework. So let me right click and open this in a new tab. Alright, so in here the current version is 5.1.7. the version may change in your case. So let me copy this dependency real quick. I will navigate in here and we will click on this link, which is pom.xml. let me expand this, and in here I will do what? I will paste the text here, and take a note of it. I am just pasting it just before the dependencies end tag. Let me paste it. Let me save the changes, format things a little. Here we go, and I will do the same for there is one more dependency which we need, which is Spring Web MVC. So let us quickly do that as well. Here we go. Again, the version is 5.1.7, and we will navigate to our pom.xml. I will paste the dependency. I will format the things a little, and now our setup is almost there. We have the required jars in our application, and in here let me also show you. In here, if I show you the libraries, we have the Maven Dependencies. Now friends, sometimes it can happen that Maven Dependency is not added in the build path. So let me quickly show you the configuration from where we can configure our application. So simply navigate to the property, or alt plus enter for opening property. Right click, navigate to property, and in here we have something known as deployment assembly. And in here you can see there are like couple of things, but not all of the things. Click on add, and let me show you. In here we have this option of Java build path entries. So use this option. Click on next, select the Maven Dependencies option, finish, apply and close, and this will enable our application to use Maven Dependency. So this is yet another configuration which may cause issue while running the application. So till now everything is looking good except the JRE system library version, which is 1.5, which is very old. Let us again navigate to pom.xml, and we have seen this setting. We will add these two properties and we will ask Maven to use Java version 11. So this is a fail-safe mechanism where we will explicitly ask Maven to at least make use of Java version 11. We have seen that when we make use of Java version 12, it is not compatible as of now. Our Eclipse is not using Java 12 somehow, but explicitly we can do one more thing. In here we can navigate to build path, and for example you have Java version 12 or later version of Java. Then again, instead of using pom.xml, you can eventually make use of alternate JRE by configuring the system library directly in Eclipse, and either you can use this option, workspace default JRE, or you can use the alternate JRE option and browse for the alternate version of JRE which you wish to use. Alright, so this is nice. We will make use of JDK 12. Alright, so now we are all set. We have the jar files, everything is there with us, and we know that whenever we start our application, the controller is the first thing which we need to create, which will handle all the requests. So let's configure the controller for our Spring MVC application. Alright, so as I have specified earlier, in order to configure a couple of things, web.xml file is very important. So in here, if I show you, inside this web content web inf, we have this web.xml file, and in here, just before ending the web app configuration, let me add couple of more configuration. Let me show you the options. One of the option is a servlet, and inside this servlet option we will get couple of more options. Let me show you. One of the option is servlet name, right? And in here we will give the name as Spring Controller Main. Alright, so this looks good, and then we need to give the class which will act as the servlet now onwards. So let me show you that real quick. Now in here we will make use of a yet another tag, which is a servlet class. Now friends, in order to autocomplete, the shortcut is Control plus space. So take a note of it. And in here we need to give the name of the class. And in here I had made a mistake. It should be Spring Servlet. In fact, it's not controller. Servlet. Spring Servlet is a good name. Here we go. And now, for example, I show you the Maven Dependency. Here we go. And one of the jar files is Spring MVC. And inside this MVC jar file, if I traverse, there are like multiple packages, and one of the package is org.springframework.web.servlet, and inside this what we say servlet, we have this dispatcher servlet.class, and this is the class which will handle our application. This will act as the new servlet. So simply select this class name, right click and copy the fully qualified name and paste it in here. So this is the class name setting for this web.xml file. All right. Somehow my system is responding little slow. I will show you the setting by expanding web.xml file in a minute. Let me save the changes now. And here is the standard setting. Now friends, when it comes to giving the dispatcher servlet address, this is not enough. There are a couple of more things which we need to give. For example, we need to also enable component scan for our MVC, and we need to also give the servlet mapping. Now servlet mapping is rather very simple. In here we can make use of servlet mapping annotation. Let me show you. So we have the servlet mapping annotation and we can add the settings in here, but in order to save some time, I have did some small little thing for you. Let me show you. In here we have this particular web page, and the name of the article is Spring MVC Minimal Hello World Program. So let me expand this. Here is the article. This is nice, and definitely if you forget the URL, then simply come to studyeasy.org and search for Spring MVC Minimal Program, or search for Spring MVC, and you will get this article. Alternatively, you can also check out our article which you will find in studyeasy.org/redirects, and this will redirect to you this article where you will get the links for a couple of the redirected pages, and one of the redirected pages is this MVC Minimal Setup. So having said that, in here we have couple of settings, including the servlet mapping setting and couple of extra stuff. So let me quickly show you. So in here, let me copy the entire web.xml page real quick. And in here the name could be anything, and I will talk about the name in a minute. In here it is taking those numbers as well. Let me get rid of those. All right, so in here, first of all, the name has been updated to Spring Sample. Okay, this is good enough. And now this name and the servlet name in here for servlet mapping needs to be same. So these two things are fairly straightforward. Apart from that, we are giving the servlet mapping as / means each and every request will be handled by the servlet. Again, good enough. But the most important thing is this part, init param, where we are making use of context config location. This is important, and this is also case sensitive, so take a note of it. And in here we are giving the link to this file. So there is a yet another file by the name of Spring sample-servlet.xml. Now the name of the file could be anything, but the name of the file and the name here needs to be same. Now then we have this load on startup setting. This is an optional setting. This init param setting is important. Now let us quickly do one thing. In here, let us quickly copy this particular what we say XML content. First of all, we need to create a XML file. Let us do that first. So in here we would be creating a XML file. and we will give the name as Spring sample servlet.xml, and let us quickly copy the content from here. Let me minimize this, and here is the content. Now this file is very simple indeed. In here there are like couple of settings. The first setting is definitely related to the context, and this will enable the component scan, and here we need to give the base package. So in here later down the line we will be adding a package, and we will be adding a controller inside our src folder, and we will give the base package as org.steady. So this setting is also important. And finally we also have the view resolver, and view resolver will help Spring to configure or to search view files, JSP files easily. So in here there are two properties. Firstly, prefix, that what would be the location where we will keep the files, the JSP file. We will organize the overall application later down the line, but as of now the default location is a web inf folder, and the extension of the view files will be JSP. Alright, so these are the settings which we need. Now let us quickly create a controller. So in here let me create a new class, and it would be like main controller. Here we go, and package would be org.steady. Here we go. Let me click on finish. Now we will mark this class as a controller. Let me do that, and here we will add a very simple method. It will return string. Name of the method would be like welcome. That's it. And this method will return only one string, which is hello. That's it. And why it will return hello and how this method will handle stuff is something which I will show you in a minute. Now in here we will make use of something known as request mapping. So whenever we hit on the web application, we need to also handle the mappings. So the mapping for this method would be, let me show you the options. Firstly is value. So the mapping will be denoted by this value, whose name is value again, and mapping would be slash, very simple, and it would be forward slash. All right. And now there is one more element which we will use, which is method. Which type of request it will handle? It will handle get. All right, so this looks good to me. And finally, what is this hello? Hello is nothing but a file, a JSP file. So let us create a new JSP file whose name is hello.jsp. Title would be hello, and the text would be hello world. Very simple. Good enough, fair enough. Now how Spring will handle and load this file hello.jsp? Because in here we have configured the prefix as /webinf/, so it will by default check the web content folder. Inside the web content folder we have given the path as /web-inf/folder. Alright, so this is fairly straightforward, that inside this folder we are keeping all the stuff. Well, this is not a very good way to organize our application, but we will take care of it later down the line. And in here the default extension is JSP. As a result, when we return hello, it will search for hello.jsp file. In fact, we must give the name as hello with lowercase h, like this. That's a better name, and that's good. And now finally let us run this application. But before that, let me also show you the property. Sometimes what happens is in your deployment assembly, let me show you this setting here. Deployment assembly, there is no addition of Maven dependencies. It may happens. So in here simply check the property of the application, right click, navigate to property and add the Maven from here, Java build path entries. So we are like adding the build path entries here and apply the changes, then your application will run without an issue. I know there are like multiple things involved in what we say running a very simple Spring MVC application, but when the configuration part is done, it is fairly straightforward and it is good to create a Spring MVC application because we can scale Spring MVC application furthermore quite easily. Alright, so here is the output and fantastic, this is amazing. So this was a long video, I know, but this is how we can like create the most simple Spring MVC application. Alright, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, have a nice day and take care.